We're here.
We're here. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Wow, that was like, whoosh.
Everybody, yay!
Hi, guys.
Hi,
my
everybody. Hi. It's Liz.
I know, I'm alive. So
I have allergies today.
I forgot that we lost my desktop speaker in the move until 2 minutes ago. So I'm using my laptop. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
No, that's fair. I about 20 minutes ago had a different cosplay idea, and then I pulled it out and forgot that I hadn't styled the wig yet, and I was like,
Oh no!
So I threw on this instead.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hi, it's good
I
to
have
see you
animals
guys.
coming in and out. Yeah.
I've missed you guys so much.
Yes, we missed you. When you're coming back, right? Coming back.
At
She's
some
loving it.
point, I don't know.
It's
So,
nice
guys,
to have all of us.
I know we've all been so busy. It's usually only like 2 people at a time. But welcome everybody to Cos Talk Live. Hi, I'm Jinx. I've been cosplaying since 2001. I have really bad allergies today, so I'm gonna mute a lot. I did take something, but I sound like
it was
a
that
leaky
wind
faucet.
from last night. The
Oh,
wind
you're
got
probably
me.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably right. And there was
because
so much
there was no wind, and then at 10:30, 11 o'clock, the wind hit, and all the desert sand was like, hi.
And we were outside, the patio. But when we were setting up, and we'll do a little, wrap up of the Geek Gala. But when we were setting up, remember I licked my lips, and I'm like, oh my God, it's all dust. So I went home and showered.
Oh.
But anyway, hi guys. Yeah, the reason why I look so lazy is we just wrapped up the Geek Gala last night with the Super Ladies Foundation, and we can talk about it a little bit later. So welcome. Who's next?
Hi, everybody. Now I know what it's like. I've been to Arizona, so I know what the dust is like. So I just cringe. Oh, that must have been a long night. But hi, everybody. I'm the Pacific Northwest cosplayer here at Chibi Rain Cloud. Been cosplaying for a long time. I do a lot of judging and skits and panels and workshops and all kinds of fun stuff. You might know me from the Discord. But yeah, happy to see everybody.
Hey everyone, it's Thermo Cosplay. I'm a little bit quieter today because I'm tired. I didn't get home until midnight, but it was fun. I've been cosplaying since 2014, and I'm just a maniac. So that's where I'm going to put it. And next week when I stream, am I streaming next week? Yeah, next week when I stream, this setup's going to be different again. I just am playing setup, yeah, I can't make up my mind.
Hi guys, I'm Liz from Ambrose Cosplay. I was one of our Arizona native cosplayers, but the reason I have not been on the show for ages is because I actually moved to Southern California, so I could go back to school. So I am on the show today. Yay, I'm so excited. It's been way too long. So I guess now I'm one of our Southern California cosplayers.
So we just need everyone else to move away other places so we can actually really be national.
International Cos Talk Live.
Just kidding, guys. Yeah, so a couple comments of Ready Cool Gamer. Thank you so much for watching. Sakura Elric says good meowing. And Matthew is watching us on Facebook. Oh my God, all my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Oh, wait. Which way is the camera? Oh my God, I can't do it in front of a camera. There we go. Wait. There we go. Okay. So, Sam or someone else, do you want to start us off? I'm going to go ahead and do a bunch of sharing.
Yeah, sure. So it's getting cooler in pretty much every region, at least in the US and Canada and a lot of other places. And other places it's getting warmer. So we wanted to talk about how to keep warm or cool in costume and some tips and tricks that we've done over the years that are useful for us. I'm going to pull up... my computer's like, you need to scan again. I just scanned. Calm down. Anyways, so I'm going to actually pull up some of our Instagram posts and kind of have each of us walk through a costume that we had difficulty staying warm in or difficulty we staying cool in, and what decisions we made in the future to alter those costumes, because sometimes you don't know how a costume's going to feel until you put it on. For instance, my Yojimbo costume has layers upon layers of fabric, so I thought I was going to be perfectly fine. I thought I might even be a little hot in the summer. I was actually cold because the lining of all the fabric is satin, and the fabric that touches my skin is all spandex. So all the sweat slicked it and made me super cold. So that's, those are funny things that you discover when you think, oh, it's got tons of layers. And layers don't always necessarily mean you're going to be warm. So I'm going to pull up a couple of, I'll start pulling up our Instagram accounts right now because I'm just a little Instagram ninja.
I've also got some stuff on deck too that we can share. Either it's cold or warm. Ashley Kreischer, happy afternoon, you all rock. Thank you so much for watching from Facebook.
I feel like I have a lot of good experience with staying warm in cosplay. The Pacific Northwest is just a very chilly area. But I did get some fun experience going to con with you all because I was really worried about my my Lelia cosplay. The rest of them I was kind of airy with, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. But my Lelia was like 3 layers of just heavy fabrics. At least what I thought was heavy. In the end, it ended up actually being pretty cool. It wasn't that bad.
But that would be something that would have been appropriate for you to wear in the Pacific Northwest during the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think obviously, planning your cosplays for specific cons, knowing the location and the time of year is kind of like the first step. But even that can be difficult to predict, especially with how long sometimes it takes to, say, make a cosplay or put it together. You can't predict the weather that far out necessarily. We can assume Phoenix Comic-Con or Phoenix Fan Fusion, whatever it's called now, in May is probably going to be hot. So a friend of mine actually planned, a friend of mine and I planned to do 2 of the fairies from Fern Gully, thinking like, okay, it's very light. There's not a whole lot of like material, open midriff, like he was shirtless. We're like, it'll be great for Phoenix in May. That was the coldest Phoenix Fan Fusion. I think the high was like 86 the day that we wore it. And we were both freezing.
When we say
86 for Phoenix in May, but that was just a weird day. And so we were both so cold. We had to like put like little hoodies on because we were freezing.
Right. Because when Arizona, I'd say cold, it's like we expect it to be 100,
I don't know if you can see our goosebumps in that picture, but that's it. We were both freezing our little wings off, like just so cold the whole day.
And then, of course, inside, they're always pumping the AC.
Oh, yeah. That's something you have to consider, too, especially in Arizona, is as soon as it's May, they turn every interior of a building into an icebox.
Mm-hmm.
That was the struggle I had, honestly. That was the hardest part of UwuCon was like, yes, I had these airy costumes that I was fairly comfortable with because Kirishima has my chest and midriff showing. I have lace pants that have holes in it. Like the hottest part of the whole costume was my boots. And then same with Deedlit. Like Deedlit was just a little tiny dress and then the armor on top. So like honestly, I ended up getting pretty cold in Deedlit. I was pretty thankful of having my cloak because I could just kind of like wrap up in my cloak when I got too cold in the building. But I was just so shocked at like the dramatic. It went from like 90s outside to I guess it was like 80. I think 88 was like the highest when I was there. But like, and then it dropped down to like 50, 60 when we went to the building, and I was like, oh my god. And so
at nighttime.
Oh yeah, and then at nighttime it dropped even like when I was in Deedlit when we were headed home. I'm like, oh, this feels like my temperature cold. Like this is what I'm used to back home.
Yeah, because I think we were all trading. We were all trading like cloaks and stuff because I felt okay. I have a heat thing anyway, and then we're like, let's give this to Sam, and then Sam can give this to TB. It was just funny. Like we just ended up trading layers, but like I'd gotten the hang of it by the 3rd day, and I didn't have to worry about it on Sunday because I had just enough layers that I can kind of strip on and off as I went through the day. But with like the first day with Kirishima, I was just like, no, I need a jacket or I need something that I can wrap up with by the evening. And so the next day I'd brought in my sweater for after everything because I knew in Deedlit I would take that armor off at some point. So I'd actually brought in a sweater with me because I'd gotten so cold. And then with Lily, I went part of the day without the over thing because it was so hot. But then by the later afternoon, like I was like, okay, I'm good.
I think you can
Yeah.
try and like plan for the season, you know, knowing the location and knowing when your con is going to happen. But sometimes it's good, like Chibi said, to be prepared, like bring a jacket just in case or something like that, because you never know.
Yeah, well, in the convention centers, depending on a lot of convention centers, at least in the Southwest and the West, the AC is really, really cold. So you could have it be 100 degrees outside, but the AC is absolutely 65 to 70 degrees, and it's freezing. So a lot of the times, I will wear like dance tights underneath even pants or something, knowing that like I'll be a little bit warm while I'm walking to the con or while I'm waiting in line. But the minute I'm inside, I'll be comfortable because they're so thick. You need some kind of like a thick, how you're doing it tight to keep yourself warm. Or I'll wear an additional spandex nude arm socks underneath just to help, because you never know when you're gonna just. Yeah, I actually have quite a few of those jumpsuits.
Sam turned me on to these. I wore dance tights as D-lit. I think that's what saved my butt in Arizona, because I wasn't too terribly cold in the building, but I had dance tights on, which I almost didn't bring with me because I'm like, oh, I'll be in Arizona, it'll be fine. But I was like, no, something tells me I should have these just in case. And I ended up wearing them all day because
and it's nice because if you go up, Jess, if you go to the ones that are convertible, these ones. So these ones are nice because if you do get too warm, you can just take it off of your feet and roll them up. And you can hide them, like if you're wearing boots, you can hide them underneath, or it makes them easier to take on and off.
Super useful. I'm now a firm believer and will always wear them.
And they're a lot more sturdy than regular nylons.
I've left them in the washer and the dryer, and they've survived many cycles of Sam, you forgot to take your tights out of the washer.
Yeah.
If you're going somewhere even colder too, they make fleece lined nude tights also.
Yes. I just bought some. Let's see, fleece
lined.
and
they look, I mean,
like if you're going to
a lot of them are so realistic looking to skin tones that you have no idea that they're fleece lined.
So if you're going to a con that you know is going to be really, really cold, or it might even snow, that might be a good call.
Or even like I've done snow shoots in my area, and like, oh my God, Holo, I was only out in the snow for like maybe 15 minutes before I gave in, because it was before I found out about these. The next time I did a shoot with her, I was in the snow for like 40 minutes and doing just fine because I was like laying out the snow, taking pictures and stuff. But the fleece line ones are such a lifesaver in snowy regions.
Oh yeah.
Just make sure when you're making your costume, if it's skin tight, plan accordingly, because that's going to add more bulk to yourself and body. And so if it's a skin tight outfit or something that's particularly tight, you might be uncomfortable in them. So like if you're doing the fleece line ones, just think about that bulk you're going to get. And two, what I have troubles with is I have violin hips, and so like everything just falls off of me. So I have a small like suspender that under some costumes I can actually wear to hold up my tights, because I just can't get them to stay up no matter what I do. So I just try to do a suspender underneath, and then I don't have to worry about it.
And Sakura is asking about sharing the dance tight links. There are tons of companies, and it really depends on what country you're in, what company provides dance tights to you. I highly recommend looking for Carpezio, though. I'll type it in, is our Carpezio band dance tights, simply because they are the ones that have been the strongest and most durable for me. And they have the widest range of colors. So they have every skin tone from super pale to very dark, and they are pretty accurate.
Well, and let's say like your character wears, like tights or something, like they wear like colored tights, who knows? You could have two different pairs of, let's say, black tights, one of them fleece lined and one of them lighter, so that you can easily kind of transition that character.
Well, and I do that too. If your character has skin tones, like have a different color, your skin tone is always going to show through if you just do a normal tight. So I always like layer underneath with a white pair of tights, and that could be a good fleece line white pair. Then you pull the colored pair over so you get an actual true color to whatever that character is.
Mm-hmm.
I think masks have been helping me. I'm the type of person that my face gets really cold, and so like I've honestly been really like appreciating having a mask that matches my cosplay, because then one, I'm safer in big areas like the vendor hall, and then two, I'm warm. It keeps my nose warm. And I've also turned to heat warmers, like just like the little ones you could buy at the store, like feet and hand heat warmers. Yeah. Oh my God. Like
they're in most like emergency aid kits too.
SoccerCon and Emerald City in my area are very cold. And that's what saved my butt during those cons is I got a bunch of feet warmers and I would just tuck them in my shoes and it kept me going because it's very wet and cold. So like if your feet get wet, you're just screwed. You're just cold the entire con. But I bought a
how
bunch of
these
those.
rechargeable ones work.
I've never tried
I've
them
used
before.
these. I've used these like when we go camping and stuff. They're just super, useful. But I wonder what the rechargeable ones are like. I feel like that could cause a fire in your pocket.
From what I've heard, they're pretty good. I haven't personally used them, but so I work in a warehouse, and so it's always freaking cold, no matter what time of year it is. And I have coworkers that have those, and they swear by them because you can just leave them in your pocket, and then like when you get a second, you can just stick your hands in your pocket. Or
yeah, and I think they'll be fine because I mean they're similar. It's a similar concept to fans for cooling. It's just instead of cooling, it's heating. So they're pretty secure and safe. I mean, we'll talk more about staying warm, and then we'll move into getting like how to stay cool as well. But I actually know someone that put those in like, so they wear like when you're wearing big armors and stuff, usually you stay pretty warm. But if you're in an environment where it's under like 40 degrees, you're going to get bone chilling cold the moment wind blows in because you have no way of warming yourself up. You're completely covered in armor. So once that cold gets in, you are freezing. And so a lot of them will create a little packet in different places of their armor where the wind is potential to come in. And they have those little heaters inside those pockets.
I'm really interested in these rechargeable ones being a little more eco-friendly. I'm heading to London for Christmas, so I definitely need something.
And then keeping science in mind, if you know you're doing a shoot outside or if you're going to be in a cold environment, your head, your core, your feet, like when those three things get cold, your body has a harder time internalizing your temperature. So if you can focus on maybe when you're doing your wig piece, you can get an extra wig cap that's like a full wig cap instead of a netted one. You can always get like an extra warmer for your head to wear on your wig. It might make things bulkier, but like a couple layers of wig caps is really useful. Same with your core, like Sam was saying, like if you can get a heat pack or something that's going to sit on your stomach, you're probably going to stay warmer than if you had it anywhere else in your body. And then same with your feet. Like as soon as your feet get cold, usually you start to kind of chicken out and you're like, okay, now I'm done in the snow.
That's actually one thing. So for your core, one thing that's really surprising, whether you need this or not, slimmers are actually really good for wearing in cold weather because it brings all of your weight, all of your warmth into your core, it sucks it in, and it actually helps kind of act like an insulator. And then the layers you put over it, it's staying because they're so thick, right? They're meant to help suck in guts, but they're actually really useful for insulating your body.
That's a good idea.
Well, and along with that idea is, when you're planning your cosplay, if you're going to be making it, and you're planning it for a certain con that you sort of are like, okay, the weather climate's going to be like this probably, choosing your fabrics kind of strategically for that, that's just something that you want to think about. You can even like, let's say, you're planning on making a cosplay that you would only ever wear to colder cons. Like you wouldn't wear it to a warmer con because of whatever the style, it's long sleeved or has pants or whatever. You can actually sew in like a layer of flannel in between the fashion fabric and the lining for an extra layer of warmth if you know you're only ever going to wear it to cold environments.
You could also, instead of like, if you're one of those people that you know you're going to transfer between cold and warm environments, if you just install a zipper, you could just unzip, slide in that flannel, zip it back up, or go back. Because I've seen people do that where they just kind of create insulating, like between the lining and everything, they just have an invisible zipper so that they can adjust it depending on where they're going.
You can also design like a cloak or a jacket for your character, or if they have one, in whatever the media they're from is, you could make that. But if they don't have a jacket, you could like design one for them, or like a capelet or something like that.
So here's what I did with Moana. Like we're pretty lucky that our winters are not terrible. I can go midriff open, but I did design this kind of thing that just goes over my shoulders that was easy to move around. I lined the inside with like fuzzy, so it was all nice and comfortable. But I took the same fabric, that I used on the top of Moana and kind of added in the same lace to give it that same feel. Because so the thing about Disney is a great reference, Disneyland is a great reference for, you know, changing princesses into cold weather outfits, because they do it so, and they do it so beautifully. And I know that they try and do it accurately, which when they do it accurately with Moana, I hate to say it, but she looks like she's wearing a potato sack.
It does look like a potato sack.
Yeah, they cover her whole costume, which I'm like, I get if they're trying to be authentic, but at the same time, it's like you didn't know she was Moana unless you looked at her head. So this is where I kind of wanted to just like put something over my shoulders, like a kind of like a shawl. I didn't want to make it too crazy in design, because obviously if it was, you know, if it strayed too far from what would have been authentic, then I wouldn't like put in a coat or anything, because she wouldn't have worn a coat. So this is kind of what I went with, and it helps. You know, you're rarely doing events outside. And usually if you are in the winter, Moana is not usually a popular one. But I also do wear the bodysuit too, like the one that I shared with you guys. But when I just need something to just be a little warmer, I throw this on. So yeah, so that was kind of something I did to make something that was warmer, a little character appropriate, but you know, you could still see the costume. Because if I had done the authentic thing and just put a sack over it, I could just wear like my pajamas under it, you know? Like so that's what I did. Oh, a couple comments here.
You don't have to make like a whole jacket either. Like if you're doing a photo shoot or something with your character, you could just wear like a Snuggie or like any jacket between takes. Like you do not have to make like a whole jacket if you don't want to or don't have time. Like that is fine. You can always take it off for pictures.
I saw this fantastic video on TikTok of a cosplayer coming in with a onesie and then like stripping it off, and was in this like what I think it was from Darling in the Franxx. Like it was just this like really thin, like obviously small costume they were freezing in, but they came in with this like cute little onesie and then they stripped it off as soon as they got into the building. And I was like, yeah,
that's a good idea.
That's accurate for my area. So
for last night's Geek Gala, like I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing, but I knew the outfit I was wearing was, you know, it was my shoulders were exposed. So I actually found these, and we're so spoiled with SAS, but these were just scarves. They're all just a bunch in a box, and I just took two. They were like $2.50 each, and I was like, this is perfect, like $2.50 for this woven fabric. And then knitted. And I took two, sewed them together. This is actually not the one I used last night. This is a different one, because this was a terrible sewing job. And then this was just nice to put over my shoulders. I actually lent it out because I didn't need it, but it just went nicely over my shoulders. It's white, and I was wearing a blue and white outfit, and just put it over my shoulders. It was nice and warm. And that's kind of what I wore around. Yeah, when it was cold. I didn't even wear it though, because I didn't need it.
I wore it at one point, and then another person wore it. We just still
other people wore it. But it was a quick and easy way to kind of like wear something warm that wasn't too distracting from what I was wearing as my costume. So very simple white shawl.
Jinx is now the proud owner of my Pirotess. But when I was wearing Pirotess, I don't know if you guys can tell, but my arms, I actually sewed in like mesh sleeves for it so that I could stay warm. And then I specifically bought gloves that were fleece lined so that I could stay warmer. And then I'm wearing dance tights here, really thick. I think 90% denier dance tights. And then I also had the skirt be double layered because my whole midriff was freezing. Like I was completely exposed. I did cover my breast in silicone, like stick on silicone breasts to keep them warm so that, because like I'm one of those weird people. This is gonna be like TMI, guys, but like once my nipples are cold, I'm screwed. I'm done. Like I have to be inside for 3 hours or I'm dying. So I have to keep warm. And like the silicone stick-ons actually really helped with that because it insulated my chest that was exposed to the air. And then those boots have really nice lining as well. So overall, I agree with Chibi too. The masks help so much when your warm breath comes out. It just helps keep you feeling much better.
Because this was SoccerCon in April, and Sam was smart and had everything lined and was all ready to go, and I just wore dance tights under my costume. Other than that, I was like, well, you know, I'll be fine, which I ended up actually being quite fine, but that's because I'm like climatized, so like even though it was probably like 65, maybe 70 in the peak of the day, but like it was pretty chilly, but I felt fine. But I'm totally used to that weather, but I think it was like between the dance tights and the mask, I felt fine. Other than my feet getting very wet because the grass was cold and wet.
It was everything was covered in dew.
is like well, obviously, like if you get wet, you're gonna be colder faster. But like I would say the wind is usually my biggest problem. Is if it's windy. Like I'm such a weenie with the wind and it's like cold. Like I can't. Like having just a thin windbreaker to wear to get like to the con or like building to building if it's windy. Like even if it doesn't like match your character, just like I feel like cutting that wind out helps so much with keeping warm.
It does. A couple of comments here. Amanda mentioned earlier, I really appreciate the tips. I'm going to LibCon and Glendale Glitters soon, and I usually get cold easily, plus I'm cosplaying. It's funny because I went to LibCon one year and I wore my Totoro onesie, my Kigu, and it was too hot. I took it off. Hugs, ladies. Joe Cluck says, Anthony says, I love all your costumes. I know my costume is, I'm just so tired. I'm a tired Jinx. Joe says, Anthony says, if I was a member of Costalk, I would probably be Reaper as Overwatch, or as Reaper in Overwatch. Joe, hello, Joe. Dry, warm feet are the key. I know once your feet get wet, it's just done. Anthony says, Ambrose, I can't stand hot weather mostly.
That's fair.
Yeah, Matthew says, Ambrose cosplay, what was it like shooting in the desert? I know you did that at least twice with Mummy and
Yeah, we've done it 3 times, the dune shoot. As soon as the sun goes down, it is freezing. And that was basically when, we took a couple shots with like the lights, the big old, I forget what they're called, but Pros and Cons has like the big old lightsaber lights that change colors. So we did a couple shots with those and it was like, all right, pack it up, let's go. As you can see, as Evelyn Carnahan in that one picture, the couple selfies that Sean and I are taking, I'm wearing a hoodie because it was a little chilly. Nightgown. So it doesn't match the character. You could just wear it between shots. It's fine. I didn't make like a separate like nightgown robe to go with that character. I just borrowed a friend's hoodie. One of the Dune shoots though, when I wore Bo-Katan, was actually so windy that it was like legitimately dangerous for us to be out there. Like we were like getting sand in our eyes and like couldn't see, like there was no visibility. One of our photographers got knocked down. So we had to find a less windy place to shoot. And at that point, I didn't even put the costume back on. Like I put it on once, battled the wind for like 5 minutes with like the sand like pelting us. And then I was like done. I took the costume off. We found a less windy spot and they were like, do you want to put it back on? Because it's not quite as windy. And I was like, absolutely not. Like I can't. Which I kind of wish that I had sucked it up, but I was almost like traumatized by like the wind. It was like 35 miles an hour wind in that sand. Like definitely not. So, that didn't go as expected, but for the most part in the dunes, the weather's been fine. We usually go in either March or April. And it's like, wearing aqua in those pictures was fine. I don't remember being cold or too hot. So I guess March, April is the time to go.
I mean, the battling the weather, especially if you do outdoor photo shoots, is just kind of half the battle. I remember my first like outdoor photo shoot was March in Bellingham, Washington, and I was wearing D-Lit. And it was freezing. Like my poor photographer had to edit my skin because I was so red because it was just so cold. And then I did Haru at the very end of the pandemic, and we went to the ocean to shoot. And it was actually I believe it was August, so it was really, really hot, but we had an unusual water year where our water was unusually cold. Like our water is usually kind of cold because it's the Pacific Ocean, but it was really cold. And so we did a bunch of shoots out of the water, and then I specifically wanted to get this shot. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get in the water now. I got in the water. We took 3 shots and I said, I'm out because I just got so cold that I just was like, okay, no, I have to change. So actually I wore my rave outfit, the Haru's rave outfit, to the beach. And then I quickly, cause I could just throw the jacket and the pants on over everything. And then I quickly took it off. And then once I was done with the water, I stripped off all of my like wet gear. And then I switched back to the rave outfit cause I had a big thick like hoodie. And even though it was like 95 in like, I was freezing after the water. So like, I was just like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to grab a towel, and I like wrap myself up and I just try to keep my core warm. And it was totally worth it for the shot. But like, I was not prepared going into that as well as I should have been, knowing our ocean was cold. And I like cranked my heat the entire drive home just to try to like unthaw myself. So like if you are doing a shoot that has nature, like try to do some research on that area and like that's the one where I was freezing. That was my first delit. I don't even remember, like 7 years ago. But it was, you can kind of see my skin's red. Oh no. But it was probably about 35, 40. Like it was just above freezing. It wasn't very warm. Like I had a bunch of layers on until we started taking shoots. And then like between the shots, I was wearing my hoodie and like other clothing. But that was the first time I'd ever done an outdoor shoot, and I was not prepared. I did not do my research. I didn't think it was going to be that cold. And
they look great though.
Yeah, they turned out fantastic, but oh my God.
I don't want to say like that was like, don't put yourself in danger for great photos, but they did turn out beautiful. Sorry, this cat's been bothering me, so I figured I'd put her on camera.
Definitely like having self-awareness of like I know that I am a weenie in the cold. Like even so, like I'm going to school in downtown LA, which is usually pretty hot during the day, but as soon as the sun starts to dip, I am like freezing. And people make fun of me, but I'm like, I have lived in the desert my whole life. My blood is real thin. Like I have like a sweater that I bring, and then I wear like a second sweater, and then I wear like a jacket, and people are like making fun of me, and I'm like, cozy. Like,
yeah, see, like I get made fun of for the opposite reason. Well, I guess both. I get made fun of because I'm cold, but mostly I'm one of those people. I can wear full leather, tons of layers. It's 102 degrees, 110 degrees, and I'm fine. I don't get
born of the flames, Thermo.
Yeah, Sam can handle anything, and I'm like, oh my God, here I am melting. Like,
You were in Parn for quite a bit at Uwu, and I'm like, how are you not dying? Because I
was cold
and I was hot. Like
I was freezing.
A couple of comments here. What is it? Dry, warm feet. Oh, and can't stand the cold. Where do we go? Oh, cute cat. Yeah, this is Lynx. She's my first kitty. She's 10.
Lynx is my favorite.
Little moody. Yeah, and then I remember when Jinx was cosplaying as Bowsette, I saw a Yoshette cosplay. I do love the Super Crown meme cosplays. I'll never get tired of them. And what is the name of the cat? So this is Lynx, and she's an Arabian Mau. I actually did adopt her when I was living in Dubai. So yeah, she always bothers me at the most inopportune time. So here she is, the star of the show. What are you looking for? Oh, my Bowsette.
my last little bit of advice for like staying warm in cosplay is plan that accordingly. Like if you know you're going to bring a jacket or a cloak or something for like in between trips, make sure you have a bag or like something that you're not going to be tired about carrying for the rest of the con. Because for me, I get very like, I don't even know what to call it, like shopping fatigue. Like I hate holding bags. It's just one of my weird pet peeves. And which is why I only ever shop on Sunday, because then I don't have to hold stuff all day. But my partner actually introduced me to this. We have the con roller. Basically, we have it's a sewing case that we refitted to be our case to hold our camera, our costume pieces, our lunch for the day, any extra chargers, my emergency kits that I bring with me. And it's not even that big, but we just bring it to us. We scout out the con and make sure it's like we can have a roller with us and it's not going to cause too many issues. But it's so useful because it's not on your back. It's not going to interrupt your costume at all. It's something you can drag alongside with you. That's kind of like a suitcase, but a little less bulky and a pain in the butt to move around. And then we can just throw our jackets on top, or we can just throw our cloaks in it. And we don't have to worry about carrying those things and taking them on and off all day and being annoyed with that. And so I always recommend this. It's one of those little things that I've like, the older I get in cosplay, the more I appreciate our roller because the more I'm like, I just don't want to carry this stuff anymore. It's also great for people that are huge shoppers because then you have a space.
I also recommend
to put things.
For conventions that don't let you bring rollers, a lot of them actually have coat checks or lockers. So I recommend looking for those too and securing one, or worst case scenario, preparing in advance to have a parking spot that's closer to the convention. Even if it costs a little bit more, at least you can keep stowing things away and locking it up so you're not having to worry about trucking it along, or, you know, figuring out, can I once a day go back to my hotel room if I have that? So just kind of like Chibi said, plan accordingly, and also make sure that, you have something that can keep you warm, accessible, or if you need to take off layers, I tend to do this thing where I usually have essentially like a lighter costume underneath my existing costume, like something that I can easily strip down into. Or I have something rolled up in my bag that I can just real quick change out the pants for a skirt or a pair of shorts. Because even if it's not canon to the character, I live in a desert. So there are times where we hit 118 or 120. And when that happens, there is a significant shift in your body temperature. And even if you can tolerate the heat like I do, I still have to switch out to something that is going to allow my skin to breathe more so I can handle the heat. Because your skin breathing is what's really important for managing heat. Whereas when you're trying to stay warm, you need to take all of that skin breath essentially and insulate it behind layers of clothing. So it's tricky. We've talked a lot about staying warm, and if you guys have any questions, let us know. But let's talk about tricks about staying cool.
You know what that's nice about
the Arizona people have entered the chat.
Hi.
There was just a thing about lockers is that actually the venue at Uwu has lockers because it's a sports complex and they're available for the public.
Yeah.
So even convention goers, all you need to do is bring your own lock. You know,
yeah,
so
it's completely free.
Really
You bring
cool.
your own lock. And then at Emerald City Comic Con, in general, the Washington State Convention Center, they have a coat check. And I think it was like only $3 for the entire day. And you can go in and out. Like it's in and out privileges, not like you only get to check once. In and out privileges. And it was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's very useful because like Sam and Jinx stayed really far away from the con. I was right next door, so I didn't have that issue. But like, yeah, double checking with your con what amenities that exist there that you can use to your helpfulness, whether that's staying warmer or colder, if you can drop things off, if you know there's a safe place to be, like, do it.
Yeah. Let's see here. We have a bunch of, I don't know where we ended. Oh, there we go. So Lillian says, Kitty. Yes, Kitty. Amanda's, yeah, for bags, I really like the mini backpack so it's easier and out of the way for photos.
Mm-hmm.
And mini backpacks are really useful. I carry one around all the time.
I struggle because I always wear costumes with wings or armor pieces or things that I physically can't ever wear a backpack.
That's why I'm in love with the UwuCon backpack. Now it's like on my hip and I'm done.
Yeah, I usually wear a hip case or I usually have my roller because I'm like, I can't wear anything. I can barely pick things up usually in my costumes.
What I like is I like getting a tote bag that stands up on its own.
Those are useful. I have a couple of those.
Because then obviously like it's just on my shoulder. If I want to take a picture, I just take it down and set it down, maybe next to the photographer. That's what I like to do. I mean, I do love the little backpacks, but for me, I hate having to like swing it around to get something.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I agree.
Yeah, and Anthony's saying when I went to Katsucon at times on Valentine's Day, it's in mid-February, so it gets cold. Yeah, it's funny too, because like I checked, I'm going to LA Comic-Con in a couple of weeks and I checked the weather. And like the first 2 days that I'm there, I think it was in like the high 70s, but then it just drops into like 58 and 60. And I'm like, what?
Well, you know what's so funny is I was asking a Southern California native, like, you know, I've been to LA Comic-Con before, but I was kind of like, okay, what is the weather usually?
Well, it
like?
wasn't originally in December. It was in a different
I've only ever
month.
been there once, and it's LA in December, which I'm like, okay, that could literally mean anything. And so I asked him, like, okay, what is it usually like? You've been to it more than me. And I know that downtown LA also, because of the city heat, because of all the pavement, tends to be hotter than the surrounding areas as well.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to plan a lineup, and he goes, well, it could be anywhere from like 50s to the 90s. And I'm like, that is not helpful. But thank you. Like,
yeah, no, I went to weather.
I mean, that's what you guys told me. You're like, because when I went up there in October, I'm like, well, what's the weather going to be? And like, I got a mixed review between 50 and 80. And I'm like, how do you plan for that?
Layers, I guess.
Yeah. So LA Comic-Con, like I'm doing my Yojimbo, so I'm planning on bringing like an extra undersuit just in case I get really cold. But I think it'll be okay. Typically, another thing too, like a really important thing to think about is in cold weather, movement is your friend. The more you move, the warmer you stay. In warm weather, shade and rest are your friends with lots of water, and that's water. And that's how you ensure that no matter what you're wearing, you can regulate your body temperature better.
One of the things that I now do for every single con, it doesn't matter the temperature. If it's a hotter con, I'll do more of it, but I'll get an electrolyte drink and I wake up with it. So the very first thing I do when I get up is like chug an electrolyte drink, especially on con days. Because one, your body needs electrolytes. Two, it'll actually usually wake you up better than coffee. And three, you're going to be hydrated. I know in conventions, I am terrible at drinking water. And especially if you're going to a hot con, that can be detrimental. You can get heat exhaustion very quickly. So if I usually start the day with electrolyte drink, I know I can handle a few hours without water. I won't get a headache. I'm not going to get fatigued because my body is all ready to go. Don't mean to plug, my favorite is Liquid IV. You can find it in almost any grocery store. Yeah.
My friend got me hooked on Liquid IV. I swear I'm not sponsored. I don't know if it does what it says it does. Like, I've read the back and I'm like, that doesn't sound right, but it does something. Because at San Diego Comic-Con, it's pretty much a given. I get chronic migraines, but they're worse when I'm dehydrated or stressed, which a con can be kind of stressful and like overwhelming, and you don't drink a lot of water, like Chibi said. So a friend of mine at San Diego Comic-Con, because for me with competition rehearsal, that was a 5-day convention, which is way too many days. He was like, well, why don't you try one of these? And
that's how it all starts.
I didn't get a migraine the whole time. And I was like, floored. Like, that was probably like a first for me, not getting a migraine one of the days of a con. So it does something. Like, it does something good.
I work for the company. At Costco, I work with a lot of other brands, and I ended up working with them. And now I'm a firm believer. I've used almost all their flavors, and waking up with one of those, I don't get headaches. I get a lot of headaches at con because no water. There's a lot of flavors, so you can go between sour and sweet. And you just literally, it's a powder pack you throw in your water bottle.
Maybe we should be sponsored by Liquid.
I will reach out to them and see what I can do. I get so many people addicted to it.
Find a link to share. And a couple of comments here. We've got sorry, my cat's taking over the show. Oh, she's gone finally. So it's Weeble Cake says, why hello there from Twitch. Cat, why do I recognize Chibi's cosplay? What are you dressed as, Chibi?
I'm Rom from Show by Rock, if anybody remembers that show.
And then Anthony says, I love the light up keyboard. She loves it too. She steps all over it all the time. Joe says, I'm going to Cosplay Expo in Vegas next month. I wanted to go to that. I know I mentioned it to Sam too, but it's just like, I'm spent for the year.
Basically, after LA Comic-Con, I'm not going to like another 3-day convention until Emerald City Comic-Con. So
when is that?
I'm in my break.
So tired.
It's in March, yeah. I already submitted for my panels, so we'll see.
I want to go to that one again. I don't know when.
You do it.
That's it. Yeah, no, they're fantastic. There's a lot of different ones. There's one for immunity support if you're the type of person to get sick at cons a lot. There's one for caffeination. That's my personal favorite. I usually drink one of those every morning. So you get your caffeine boost and your electrolytes. And then there's ones that are just purely for hydration. I just highly recommend it because instead of your body dying of dehydration, you just drink one of these and it really does help level you out for the day. And you can drink a couple a day too. So.
You know, I don't take one every day, but what I've started doing, because I told you guys at the beginning of the show, I started school again. My school days, I do 2 days a week at school, which if you're like, oh, that sounds great. They're both like 12-hour long days in a row.
That's what I used to do at school. You probably have like the schedule. You only get the classes like once a week. And so
it's once a week. Yep. But like, because we are literally like working the whole time. So it's like the teacher will be doing a demo and you're expected to keep up, and they go fast. Like it's quite challenging. So anyone like who doesn't have sewing experience, I'm like, bless your heart, because I'm having a hard time keeping up. Basically, all of that to say, there like literally is not time to get a drink until like break time, which is like every like 3 hours or so we have like a little break, like a 15-minute or 20-minute long break. That's like when you get to take like a drink and kind of catch up. So I found that the second day that I have class, I'll like have a headache or a migraine or something because I'm like dehydrated, because the first day, you know, you're like go and you don't realize you're not drinking water. So usually what I'll do is have a liquid IV the days that I have class, just to kind of get ahead of that. And they really do work. Like, I'm not really sure like how they work, but they do work.
If you're ever curious about it, I can show you, I can talk to you about the science behind it, because it's actually really cool.
I love science.
The company is really cool. I'm like I said, I'm not sponsored, but like so their technology was meant to help people in like third world countries to get them hydration that was safe. And so the only way to do that was to have something that was prepackaged that could be easily accessible. And so they created this formula it's pretty much just salt, potassium, and sugar, which is the 3 building blocks that is basically electrolyte. And the nice thing about it is it has nothing chemical. There's no fake sugars. There's no extra chemicals. It's basically just those 3 building blocks and then a little bit of flavor, which they use real ingredients for. So like I'm a big fan because what it does is it tricks your body to think it's actually absorbing more water because of the potassium combination. And so that potassium and salt just makes your body go, yes, lots of water. And then it absorbs more. So your body's basically being tricked, but it's really good for you.
Yeah. Liquid IV is really important.
Only reason I survived Arizona. I'm just going to say that. Like I was dying there and I cried for 2 days. I couldn't find it. Like we went to a couple different shops and I couldn't find it because it wasn't in my usual location. But I was like, it has to exist. It's a company from California. It's Arizona. We're closer than Washington. So I went looking and finally it was like the 3rd day we hit the store. I finally found it and I bought like a bunch of it and I just hoarded it through con. So
it was like near the soda aisle, which was weird.
Right. Usually it's in the pharmacy. So
yeah, it usually is in the pharmacy section. Interesting.
But like it has saved my butt section and it wasn't there. Times. I also haven't gotten con crud at all this year after 6 cons. So like I don't know if that's I'm doing better because I'm drinking more and sleeping more, but like I think it helps because I usually drink the tangerine ones.
It does help. Yeah, absolutely. It does help.
Yeah. So this is all good advice for staying cool. Another way to stay cool other than hydration is if you're in a really hot environment, you're going to be outside and you're wearing multiple layers in a costume. I recommend buying a body armor or buying undersuits that you wear for workouts that you can stick cooling packs into. And I mean like freezer packs, and it's not directly against your skin. There are these pockets inside of them. Some of these vests you even put in the freezer and then you bring it out in the morning for half an hour and then you put it on underneath. And these cooling vests are incredibly useful. It encourages airflow. Some of them even have fans in them. It's like an internal AC unit. They have really expensive ones and they have really inexpensive ones.
We are approaching like legit Iron Man technology with this, like an AC unit in a vest. Like the future is now.
Well, and they have some of them that are more streamlined that are like they hug the body closer, so you won't see it underneath. But if you can't do something like this, Chibi mentioned the top of the head, the feet, and your core. If you are really overheated, take your shoes off and dip your feet in cold water. It will shock the crap out of you, but it will cool you down really fast.
Well, putting ice or like cold water on your pulse points too. This is what we used to do when I was in marching band. Because the marching band, there is not a summer version of a marching band uniform. They are made of wool and they're made for winter and they're not made for Arizona. And the marching season is in autumn for reasons. So what we would do is we would put either an ice cube or cold water on your pulse point on your wrist or like right under like your neck here. And that would cool you down really quickly as well. They make like a water bottle.
Even take wet paper towels.
Oh yeah,
they'll take their wig off. They'll put the wet paper towel underneath the wig, and then they put the wig back on, and that helps keep it cool too.
So one thing that I do,
like a water bottle that I like using too, that has like a little like spray function. I take that to Disneyland and love that. But if you're like wearing makeup, obviously that's not super helpful. But you could do it just like on your arms or your feet or something if you wanted.
Yeah, for me, like I deal with heat intolerance. So I always have with me almost like without fail is like a hand fan. So I actually get these at like Daiso. They make small ones. And I actually had to buy more because I gave them away. People would be like, "Oh my god, I'm so hot!" I'm like, "Here's my fan." So
you can get custom printed little folding fans now. So like if you wanted to make like a cute one that goes with your character,
they're so fun.
You
so
can
these I always keep in my bag. They're small, and for me, I need to like my face is where I need to start cooling down. So if I just grab this out and it looks better than, taking a pamphlet and be like, I always say whenever I break this out, people are like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah, doesn't it look better than me taking a flyer and like fanning myself with a piece of paper?
Like Thermo Sidekick, my buddy, she always has a hand fan that's USB rechargeable, And on top of
I
it being a
stole
fan, it also is a phone charger. So you've got dual duty going on, and
Yeah.
it's
I don't
it's
have it
really
handy
useful.
too, but I have a little electric one too. I think I have it by my vanity, but a little
I-
electric one too, small that you put in your bag.
I don't use it very often, so I forgot entirely what it's called. But there's these. They're kind of like bandanas, but they have like a gel in them that's an ice pack, and
Mhm.
you can get smaller ones that fit under wigs really well. So if you know, like for we don't usually get that hot, but like if you know you're going to a hot con, like you're going to be outside, putting something cold underneath your wig is a really good way to do it. And I like those ones because they're water activated sometimes, so you can rinse it off, and then once it dries out, you can just take off your wig, rinse it again, wring it out really good, and then put it back on, and then you're staying cool all day. You might have to rearrange your wig, but those are super helpful. And I wanted to say I am so shocked about the ice pack because I never actually met anyone who had ever used it because I live in a cold climate.
Yeah.
And usually if they are wearing it, they have big armor on, so you can't really feel the difference it makes in them. But in Arizona, Hermione, her dragon,
Geeky
yeah,
Creations.
Geeky Creations. She was wearing a costume from Game of Thrones that was like wool and
Arya.
like 3 different layers, and it was insane. And I'm like, how are you not dying? And she's like, oh, feel it. And so she lifted up her cloak, and I could feel how cold she was. Like I could feel how cold the ice was radiating off of her. And I'm like, oh, whoa. Like I was so shocked. She's like, yeah, I'm fine for like 6 hours.
Yeah, no, ice packs in Arizona are really common. All of our power armor guys have fans in the back and the front, and then they usually have an ice pack along the side. So when the fan blows, it creates little internal air conditioning for them. And so a lot of them too, they'll take an ice pack and they'll stick it in their ab area and just because most of them they'll have like a sound pack in the back and then another spot in the front that they can just sneak in a little ice pack, and it works really well. So
Another thing that I think is handy are like parasols. Maybe this is just carrying too much stuff. I actually purposely was looking for. I took one of those little cheapy parasols, that you get. I just found a white one at Goodwill that I'm gonna paint on. But just at the Ren Fair we went last year, I found one of those leather parasol holster thingies. Oh, so good. So then I can just throw on a simple belt or something that matches my costume, and I have my parasol there. Because again, for me, I have a heat intolerance, and just being under the sun, I'll immediately start like glistening with sweat. So that for me is super helpful. And again, this looks classier than me being
I have a
it's so
rainbow it's a Pride umbrella, and it's a UV umbrella, so it's meant to give you shade from. I always have it in my car because it never fails that someone needs to use it. So
I remember last summer, I did a My Hero photo shoot for the fantasy set, and the only one who was intelligent was our Dobby, Chaotic Neutral, who we had on here. They had brought in a parasol and was great all day. They were the only one who did not get a severe sunburn. The rest of us tried our best to do sunblock. I unfortunately had patches where like I had makeup on for my scales and stuff, and those pieces were fine because I have UV like style makeup. But all of the places that didn't have makeup, I just had little weird burns all over my arms and my neck. And so after that, I'm like, parasol. I am never doing an outdoor summer photo shoot without one of those again because honestly, it was amazing.
That's actually why I usually wear arm socks, even if it's in the summer. And I tend to prefer to use fabric paint or some kind of other acrylic paint, something on my arm that looks like makeup, because I can't wear sunscreens. I haven't found one that doesn't cause me to have a severe reaction. So my only protection would be those nude tights. Or those mesh bodysuits that I can wear underneath things.
Japan and Korea, those are super popular. So if you look up some Japanese websites, or even Daiso has
That's where I get most of mine from.
Daiso has so many different socks for your arms.
I can't find bodysuits that are long enough for me. I have to order dance type bodysuits just because I'm tall. So the Japanese and Chinese mesh suits don't work for me, but they're fine in the arms.
Yeah, they also call them like driving gloves or driving arm socks. So those are super useful.
To protect you from the sun. And that's another thing important. Like think
when
about
I was in
how far you're driving for a convention, and what mode of transportation you're using will affect what you like, how you wear your outfit.
Yes. So
because like if you're going in a really cold environment, just wear a cloak in and have some way to store it and carry it with you at the con, because it's just worth it. It's worth it to stay warm. But if you're going to be in a hot environment, maybe have some way while you're transporting to to have part of your costume off that you can change
And
into when you get there.
I want to make a very important note because I don't think a lot of people think this 100% through. So I had the honor of doing a panel about cosplay safety while I was at Pentacon. And that was actually a really fun panel to put together because it made me think about a lot of things that I have never thought about before. And one of the topics that came up over and over again when I started finally talking to cosplayers about what they thought was the most important thing was, how quickly can you get out of your cosplay? Especially in a very hot or cold environment. If something happens to you, if a paramedic has to get to you, how quickly can you get in and out of your costume? And do you need help? If you can't, if like both of those answers are like, then you need to think about it. You need to make sure that if you're in big armor, there are easy ways to get out of it, or you are always with a human that can help you out, or you have very clear instructions on how to get out of it. Especially in like the really big armors, I see a lot of cosplayers with like tags or like a quick little card where they can be like, here is how you help me if I'm having like, if I'm having heat stroke or something, like this is how I get out of my costume. And it has just like a little instruction sheet. So people aren't like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Because not everybody is a cosplayer and knows how to do the belt straps, or if you have a zipper, or if it's Velcro. And you would absolutely hate yourself if you let your costume get destroyed because you didn't think ahead.
I can tell you, I've been in many a bathroom where someone was crying because they couldn't get back into or back out of their costumes. And I've just stayed to help them because thankfully I know what's going on. But like, that is very important. Yeah.
And in a real emergency, they're just going to slice you out however they can.
Yeah. They'll just cut you out. Yeah.
Save your life, like, you know, if you are like, if you have like a pre-existing condition, like you need an EpiPen or you have diabetes, that is absolutely something that you need to consider.
I will say medical bracelets are really useful at conventions. If you don't feel comfortable wearing it in your daily life, that's understandable. If you're going to an event, you have a medical condition that could cause you to collapse or have some other issue, please wear a medical bracelet.
Yeah,
it will save your life. It really will.
And heat stroke is such a scary thing, especially when you're in a big costume. Like I just highly recommend knowing how long it takes, and if you can instruct somebody, and if there was an emergency, have a game plan. Like if you need help getting out of a costume, where do you go? How many people do you need to help you? If you're left on your own, do you have a way to contact
changing
people?
Room or repair station, something. Somewhere
know where things are. And if you have a low tolerance, I recommend just bringing an extra pair of clothes. Another thing that your bag is great for is for extra shoes, extra shirt, extra pants, just an emergency set of clothes, especially if you know it's going to be a really rough day, or if you're feeling off or you're feeling sick. Just be prepared to switch out. Like I promise you, it won't ruin your con experience. It's your safety first.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
We're coming to the last 2 minutes. Yeah. Does anybody if you have any questions, be sure to post them.
I wanted to kind of just wrap up a little bit on like Geek Gala and what we've got coming up next. Yeah. So if you guys are not aware, the Super Ladies Foundation is a local charity organization. It's a local Arizona local charity organization where, you know, a lot of cosplayers donate their time to dress up as characters, primarily superhero characters, but, you know, they kind of do whatever's needed. And they make, you know, hospital visits and other events or schools or anything. And last year they did the Geek Gala Winter Formal for the first year. And this year they did another one. I kind of volunteered my time. I wanted to help them decorate. I think you can check the Geek.Gala Instagram. I think they might have some stuff in their stories. I'm not sure. But
that was, I met the person who runs that, right, when I was in AZ.
Yes. Okay, we did an interview, I think, too. We had them on the show, and I think you were there. So it sold out to the point where they had to like squeeze in more people. They made way more money than they did last year, and it was just a great time. And we came up with some new ideas to, you know, make it pleasing for everybody. They had a gaming lounge. I suggested hot chocolate, so of course I had to serve it. But that was like so popular, I had to make another batch. We had a couple more photographers come out, and it was really fun. And I was busy. I only got in a dance at the very last dance. But I really enjoyed seeing everybody have a great experience. So a lot of fun. I think, a lot of that's like but the photos are going to come out. And so we'll share photos when we get them, because I invited a couple photographers out. These are last year's, so you can kind of get an idea of what it is, because people are like, what is it? And I'm kind of like, it's Geeky Prom. So where people are encouraged to make gala versions of their favorite characters. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to. Yeah, I didn't have the time to, so I just wore my Hannah Alexander Renoa. But next year, you know, depending on what capacity we help out with, I might try something else. But so Cost Talk Live, we went there as support, and it was really a lot of fun. I didn't get to go last year because I was out of town, but Sam went last year, and so we, you know, wanted to help them make it super successful, and it was a lot of fun. So that's that, and then this Saturday. We're hosting just a meetup at the Xing Fu Tang Boba Shop in Mesa, Arizona at 12 o'clock. So just come and cosplay, come hang out, get some the boba's really, really good. And they've got a nice little outdoor patio to hang out. So that's just going to be a lot of fun to, you know, wrap up maybe the cosplay season because there's not really much going on other than LibCon till the end of the year. So if you guys want to come out, we do have the event on our Facebook page. Just a chill meetup. Yeah, just a chill meetup at 12 o'clock. The boba's super, super good. They were actually the boba place that came out to our cost swap mart. So they were so excited. I mean, it was a very quiet swap mart, but we made some great relationships. And so they were like, let's do more stuff together. I'm like, okay, let's have a meetup. So that is going to be happening. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Any other announcements you have?
I'm competing at LA Comic-Con.
Woo!
That is the first weekend of December, right? That's my birthday weekend, by the way. Birthday weekend. LA.
I'm like running away. I'm like, bye, Jessica.
Yeah, go see Sam and support her at the LA Comic-Con. Are you going to LA Comic-Con, Liz?
Yes. I don't know how many days. I got a full weekend pass, but like my homework takes so long to do. That I honestly don't know how long I'll be able to go.
We'll find you at some point.
Well, Saturday for sure. Like I'll be there Saturday for sure. But like I don't know about Friday and Sunday. I don't know if I can like give up the time that close to finals, but we'll see.
This will be like the first vacation I've taken in a while where I didn't have like a lot of commitments. Like this is just for fun.
Yay!
Good.
Sam!
You deserve it, Sam. You work way too hard.
Yeah. Oh, and then so you guys also know, like next year we're gonna start curating our events that we attend and appear at. Because this year, you know, we are exhausted. So we definitely appreciate the support. We'll be working on our schedule for next year. So keep an eye out. Amanda says, "Oh, happy early birthday, Jinx, and good luck on the cosplay competition, Sam." Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining again. I'm Jinx, jinxcosplay.com, or I'm on socials at the Jinx Cosplay.
I'm Chibi Raincloud. I'm officially in my sleeper season. Until Emerald City, I probably won't do anything. So I'm gonna figure out what cons I'm doing next year, which I have a lot on my list. So I have to kind of sit and figure out which ones I can do. But you can find me at Chibi Raincloud on just about all my social medias. And I forgot to do this last time, but I usually have a quote on my board. So today's quote is, "Humankind cannot gain anything without first sacrificing something in return. To obtain something of equal value must be lost." And I'm sure everybody knows where that's from nowadays. That's an older anime. But yeah, it was great seeing everybody. Next week.
I see your Kirishima up there.
Yes, Jinx got me Kiri. It filled the hole that I've been trying to find a picture for. So
I gave that to all our booth helpers, some really awesome art, local art. Sorry,
I have a lot of Ubu stuff. Yeah, I also have like my Ubu patch, and I also got this really pretty deedlit chain there, and like I got a lot of stuff from Ubu. Yes, hi, goodbye. I guess I have nothing else to say. Join our Discord.
Yes, Discord in the chat.
I'm Thermo Cosplay. Just go to thermocosplay.com. I'm going to be updating my website here soon, and I'll be kickstarting 2023's year of tutorials because I'm making some really huge costumes next year, and I'm going to die. That's okay. Let's just say I set the budget. I figured out how much it's going to cost for me to make these just four costumes will cost me $2,000.
Yeah, that sounds about legit.
Interesting. Whoa.
Sounds about right, yeah. And I'm Liz from Ambrose Cosplay. You can find me at Ambrose_cosplay on Instagram, Facebook, Instructables, all that jazz. Although I think that handle might be changing as soon as I use up all of my remaining business cards.
So as a reminder, though, if those of you are wondering why our times are different, daylight savings has occurred. So in
Oh wait,
I
it's
should have
on
asked-
now.
I should have asked for your help with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
daylight
it's officially
savings happened in November.
Yeah, it's officially 12 in my time zone right now.
Yes, same.
So we
Yeah.
are off by an hour now.
Yeah.
So daylight savings is off.
It's 1
Yeah,
p.m. right now in Arizona. It is 12 o'clock for them.
Cold shit right here.
Yes.
And so as far as I've heard, this is probably going to be a forever thing. So me and Liz are just always going to be in the wrong time. Like
as
No,
long as
there's
it gets
one-
through legislation properly, because apparently it's back up in court holdings again.
Well, I believe there's
Litigation.
one more spring forward, and then we're done.
okay, so then we'll be on the same time zone.
Then
as,
we'll
like,
end
the
up on the
entire
same time.
coast. I mean,
Which
that
would
makes
make
that's
sense.
sense.
weird.
Honestly, that would make sense. We kind
Yeah.
of follow your sun's schedule anyways.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First of all, I think daylight savings is like some Thomas Jefferson founding father bullshit, and it should have been done away with a long time ago.
YouTube is going to turn us off, Liz.
Anyways,
Liz is trying to get us
you can bleep that
canceled.
out and post it.
Yes.
But like, I was like, we should just drop it now that I've moved here. And my friend was like, well, but they already have flights planned out. And I'm like, I don't care. I do not care. I live here now. We should be done.
Liz does not care.
I
Yeah,
don't
no,
care.
I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like, well, to be perfectly honest, this 11 to 12 works better for my personal life schedule. But like, it
I
is such a
agree.
pain in the butt, and like, the amount of people that call out of work those like first 2 days after daylight savings is absolutely outrageous.
Because
Just
they're
putting it out there.
confused.
Yeah.
Confused.
Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us. You can watch us live every Sunday, 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Or
join our
11 p.m.
Discord.
Pacific Standard.
Yeah, join our Discord. We'll be doing some fun stuff in there. And
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Sorry. Okay, Discord announcements. So we're taking a break through November to just kind of like obviously we're all crazy busy right now, but starting December we will be starting up our cosplay challenges again. I'm very excited about it. We're going to start a whole new year. I'm going to post the rules and instructions about that probably November 30th, December 1st. But I'll be posting about
Like
that really
that.
soon. We will be starting up Tip Tuesdays again. I'm sorry, I really dropped the ball on that, but I was doing a lot of traveling. And then I'm also probably going to be doing another revamp of it. And we are discussing doing a movie night, like a group movie night. We have a movie all lined up, and possibly one of the co-directors is also going to join us while we talk about the movie.
Yeah, that'll probably be January-ish.
Yeah, probably in January, just so we can get everything lined up. So if you guys are interested in watching the Cosplay Universe with us, you can join our Discord, and we're going to be doing a full live of the show. We'll let you know. I think we're going to reach out and see what times and days work best for everybody. But we're going to kick off the new year with some really fun cosplay. So
You three are my cosplay universe.
Oh, what about my cat too?
your poor
Don't
I don't
torture
know.
your poor kitty.
On camera. She just is bothering me, so now I'm bothering her. So
This is about to turn into Cos Talk After Dark.
cat.
Butt up to the camera.
I
So Cos
All right,
Talk
well,
Live
thank
is
you
going
all
to
for
start a
joining
cat
us today.
OnlyFans.
told you we
no
need to.
kitty only fans. All right.
Our cats
Thank
want
you
to
for
be
joining us
stars.
today. We clearly are
We should
delirious
go.
and need
We need to
end.
go.
We are done. We're signing off.
Bye, everybody.
guys.